righty, let's get to it. So yesterday at 4 p.m., the Philadelphia Eagles 2022-2023 season roster was finalized. And I put a poll question on YouTube. You can check it out right there. Asking, what would you give your letter grade for the 53-man roster? You guys feel free to vote on it right there. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do in this one right here, first, if you're coming in, please do me a favor. Please leave a like, comment in the live chat, and if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. So please do me that favor right there if you're coming in. So let's get into it. So yeah, obviously our 53-man roster is official. So what I'm going to do first is I found the link to it on the Philadelphia Eagles website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to copy and paste the link into another tab I have on my computer, and I'm going to read it off. It's from the Eagles website by Chris McPherson. What I'm going to do, though, for those of you guys that want to see it yourself, if you want to read along the roster with me as I'm reading it off, I'll put the link to that in the chat so you can check it out right there. In there, excuse me. Oh, there we go. There it is. So I'm going to read it off right there, the official 53-man roster. So let's get right into it. So quarterbacks, we have Jalen Hurts as our starter. Gardner Minshew is our backup. No surprises there. Running backs, we got Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. No surprise there. And first, I'm just going to read through it, then I'll give you my thoughts on it. So here we go. You got A.J. Brown, wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Zach Pascal, Jaylen Rager, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. So this tight end, we got Dallas Goedert, Grant Calaterra, and Jack Stoll. That's who we decided on there. So our offensive line, our 10 guys there, we got Landon Dickerson, Andre Dillard, Jack Driscoll, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Jason Kelsey, Jordan Mailata, Sua Apatim, Isaac Samalo, Josh Sills, excuse me. So that's our offensive side of the ball right there, who we decided for a 53-man roster. So I'm about to read off our defense. So for our defense, we got our D-line, we got Derek Barnett, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, Taron Jackson, Josh Sweat, Marlon Tuapulu, Milton Williams. So linebackers, we got a crowded linebacker room with Sean Bradley, rookie Nakobe Dean, TJ Edwards, Kerryon Johnson, Patrick Johnson, Hassan Reddick, Davion Taylor, Kaiser White. So for our cornerback / defensive backs, that room is James Bradbury, Josh Jobe, Vontae Maddox, Zach McPherson, Joshua Scott, and Darius Slay Jr. And for our safeties, we got Reed Blankenship, Marcus Epps, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who we just acquired yesterday, and Kayvon Wallace. So now for our special teams, we got Jake Elliott, kicker. We got punters, Rick Lovato, Arion Sipos. So that's what we got right there. So I'm also going to read through while I'm still at it. I'm going to also read through some of our people. So we got injured reserved. We did place Greg Ward on injured reserve. So released, we released Dion Kane, wide receiver, LeRaven Clark, Anthony Harris, Richard Rodgers, Jaquiski Tart, and center Cameron Tom. So we waived. Now, the difference between released and waived is waived. So some of these waived guys, if teams decide to pick these waived guys up, they can pick up the contract they had with the Eagles. And the waived guys include Devin Allen, center guard Jack Anderson, guard tackle Kayoid Awawiski, if I'm pronouncing that right, Josh Blackwell, who he released, then re-signed. I mean, his stint was shorter than Christian Hackenberg and Michael Sam's NFL careers for crying out loud, but let's continue. The waive list, Kennedy Brooks, running back, safety Andre Cherokee, wide receiver Britton Covey, linebacker Christian Ellis, defensive back Mario Goodrich, defensive back Tate Gowan, wide receiver John Hightower, running back Jason Huntley, defensive end Matt Leo, defensive back Matt McCain, quarterback Reed Sinnott, linebacker Jacoby Stevens, quarterback Carson Strong, tight end Noah Tugaji, if I'm pronouncing that right, defensive back Harry Vincent, defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle Renell Wren. So that's the list right there of guys that were either waived or completely released. So that's what we got going right there. So let's get to it. So, and if those of you that are just coming in, also feel free to post a comment in the live chat as well. So I'm going to give you my thoughts right here on this roster. So the overall 53-man roster we got right here for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's certainly an upgrade from last year. I remember back in March when we were going through free agency, we didn't make a whole lot of moves in free agency during that period in March. We made some moves, but we didn't make a whole lot. We started making moves late after that throughout the spring and all the way to yesterday with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade. I remember at the time I'm thinking, what is Howie doing? I mean, you got Hassan Reddick, that's nice. We got Zach Pascal, but is that really the best receiver we could get? That was my thought at the time back in March. And now here we are today on the final day of August. We've certainly done a lot more since then to improve as a whole. And we look at this roster this year. Howie did a nice job with this offseason. I mean, I've been critical of him just like a lot of Eagles fans have been about some of the moves he's making. We've been looking at him going, what is he doing? Especially some of the past years, like particularly that 2020 draft. A lot of us really criticized him for that. But this year, things were a little different. Things were better this year. I feel this is on paper the best offseason we had since the 2017 offseason. When we were making moves to build up our roster and we ultimately made that Super Bowl run. This year, we did a nice job right there. We see we got Hassan Radek, which is a nice move right there. Former Temple alumni, has his heart with Philadelphia. He was happy to be drafted in Philly because he was drafted that 2017 draft by the Cardinals. And now he's going to be playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was doing interviews on the website shortly after he was picked up. We've seen him on his Instagram. He's so excited to be with the Eagles. And he's here. So, and we know we can stop the run and rush the QB, which is good. We definitely need help blitzing the quarterback, which we struggled with greatly last year. So that was a good move right there. We also got Kazir White on linebacker from the Charger. Well, I'm still on that, and it seems like reports are already indicating that the Chargers regret letting him go. And he was one of the key pieces of their defense last season. But now, he's now with the Eagles, and we saw that first drive he got against the Jets. He got that interception, first defensive drive of preseason. So we showed right there what he can do. So that's awesome right there. And for those of you guys that are just joining in, you got a poll. The poll reads exactly what letter grade do you give the Eagles 53-man roster. You can vote on that poll right there if you're coming in. And so I like that right there. Kazir White, what we're seeing so far, that gives us some help at linebacker. And really, we needed a lot of help on our defense. And we certainly got it there. And we also pulled off this, move for James Bradbury because James Bradbury, and we pull off the move yesterday for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Those are good moves right there. So we got that help on defense. We got Jordan Davis in the draft. You can place in the middle and force teams to move around him, to plan around him. Because if he's in the center, he can. And we saw in that preseason game what he was able to do against the Jets, where he was able to make a block. He moved the center out of the way, and that created more room for a blitz. Like if Jordan Davis is lined up in the center, he's going against the center. If he's able to block good enough and push the center to his left, that can create room for a linebacker to blitz straight through the middle and get to the quarterback. So that's one example where Jordan Davis's skill set works good in the middle. So even if he's not on making all the tackle, he's not putting up the greatest stats, his blocks play a key role in other people on the defense making plays on the quarterback or stuffing the running back for a loss. And even on some instances, he can still do that himself. That's why that was a good draft pick. The Eagles, they put themselves in perfect position for that pick right there with Jordan Davis. That was a smart move right there. And And some of the moves we made with just like James Bradbury, that was like I mentioned that, but here's the thing that was good about that. How he timed that perfectly. Because what he did initially was he waited a little bit. I think because at the time in March when he wasn't really making those big moves, I'm looking at like, is he afraid to risk his job? I remember some of us on here, I remember Chalk It Up Sports, Tone to Shield said that specifically. I know some of us were critical of him back in March, but we look at it now, he timed some of these perfectly. I mean, we weren't all that active during the busy free agency period with big moves. But what we did do is we waited afterward, where some of the teams dropped their guard a little bit in terms of making big moves after the free agency period. And we took advantage of them there. Like, we perfectly timed the James Bradbury one. The Giants were looking for a trade partner for James Bradbury. They couldn't get it, so they just released him. We're like, Giants decided to release him so they couldn't find a trade partner. And that left him an open free agent. Sure enough, as soon as he hit the free agent market after he was released in early May, Howie Roseman came calling, offered him the deal. The contract was signed. James Bradbury is a Philadelphia Eagle. And, yep, that was it right there. Hey, in draft night, we pulled off the perfect move right there. We saw A.J. Brown. He was going through some contract disputes. He wanted an extension. He wasn't getting it. We knew the Titans were probably looking for some upgrade at wide receiver, but because there was that rocky negotiation between the Titans and A.J. Brown, the Eagles took advantage of it, and they said, wait a minute, A.J., we have an opportunity to do something. I mean, there's still some wide receivers at the board at 19. If the Titans are on rocky ground with A.J. Brown, so to say, they might be if we offer them that pick and you get A.J. Brown return, they might decide, let's just move on from A.J. Brown so that way we don't have to deal with this contract dispute and draft a new wide receiver who's younger. And that's the mindset the Eagles took, and ultimately they got the Titans to agree to the trade. We got A.J. Brown draft night. We didn't need to draft a wide receiver. We got it in a trade. We timed that perfectly. And we tried to get Tyrann Mathieu, but we didn't pull it off. He signed with the Saints instead. But we did go and get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson yesterday from the Saints. I mean, the Saints already felt like they had some of their pieces there. So they felt like they could afford to trade that one piece in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So how he pulled off the deal, he made a lot of smart moves that were strategically put together this offseason. It was brilliant right there. And Kaiser White, especially with the Chargers going and pulling off that trade to get Khalil Mack, that left a little bit of room that left the linebacker room a little bit crowded right there with the Chargers. And the Eagles had the opportunity to get their hands on Kaiser White. And sure enough, they did just that. So, yeah, a lot of those moves were strategically timed. Hassan Reddick, was a good player who liked to be in Philly. Howie knew that. Howie knew his ties with Philadelphia, how much he liked the city. So he knew he could convince him to sign. He did just that. I mean, just a lot of moves that were well put together. I mean, this wasn't like the 2011 Dream Team where you just went there and signed whatever big names and threw a bunch of money at them when that didn't work out, where the chemistry of that team was off. It wasn't like that. It doesn't feel like that's what we did this time. And it wasn't like 2015 when Chip Kelly was just making all these random moves that weren't even the best moves in the world and clearly showed during that 2015 season. It wasn't like that this time. No. Felt a little more like the 2017 run. I mean, right. So I think this definitely, hey, and some people are already going out there predicting that, hey, we could have talking about a Philadelphia dynasty. I mean, you've seen Michael Irvin made a comment. He said that the Eagles have the potential to become a dynasty out of that. And a lot of people are coming forward, even Cowboys fans, even fans of other teams are coming forward saying, hey, I give the Eagles credit. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen Bears fans. I've seen Steelers fans. Cowboys fans, like I said. I've seen all these fans from different teams are coming out speaking about the Eagles saying, hey, they had a nice offseason. This Eagles team could make some noise and get back in the championship mix. And there certainly is the potential to do that. And yes, a lot of us are coming on here in the Eagles fan base, myself included. We're hyping up this team, but how great things are going to be and how we're going to do so great. At the same time, though, let's remember we haven't officially played a game yet, but there's certainly a lot of good, a lot of upside on paper. We'll just have to see if it pans out or not. Hey, I like this right here. Definitely. I mean, now some of the other moves, roster moves, though, as far as like the cuts go, the releases, Anthony Harris, I was surprised by that. I was surprised that we actually let him go. Especially with safety, when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is our best player at safety. I'm surprised we actually did that. We actually let him go. I'm like, oh, man, we really let Anthony Harris go. I mean, last year he didn't really do much anyway, so it's not like he was the best player on our team. But I thought we'd keep him because of his what's the word I'm looking for? Because of his pedigree with the Vikings, if that's the right word. And then, we thought maybe we'd give him another chance since besides Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, we don't have that much depth. But then again, now that I think about it, I think it's because I think we let Anthony Harris go so we could have more room for Gardner-Johnson on this team. So that's why I think we did that. But hey, it is what it is. Now, Dion Kane, him let go. I thought he maybe deserved at least some practice squad time. He might still be able to get a spot on the practice squad. But I think I get why we let him go, because we already have a crowded wide receiver room as it is. So I get why they knew that not everyone can make the roster. You got to let some guys go and get it down to 53 guys. Yeah, that's just part of the business right there. This is the way it goes. Sometimes you got to release some guys, even if they showed some flashes of brilliance throughout the preseason. Sometimes you just got to cut down the roster. Now, maybe Dion Kane, maybe if someone gets hurt, he might get picked up. Or maybe another team might pick him up. We'll see. Maybe same with Devin Allen. But then again, Devin Allen only had really one good highlight play in preseason. Other than that, what did Devin Allen really do? So, yes, I know that was a nice play that Speedy showed against the Browns. But when you think about it, okay, you only had one highlight play an entire preseason. And you're coming a few years removed from football. You hadn't played football since you were in college with the Oregon Ducks in 2016 when Carson Wentz was still a rookie. Okay. He hadn't been there since then. He hadn't played football since then. So I get why they let him go. So I understand that right there. I can't even be mad about it, especially when we have all these other guys there. Now, the one thing I am obviously upset about, along with the rest of the Eagles fan base, is Jaylen Rager. I mean, I don't really think he's going to do much. Now, maybe we still could pull off a trade for him during the season, because remember last year with the whole Zach Ertz saga, there were rumors he might get traded. I did a video last year during the summer, late spring, early summer last year, about a bunch of proposed trade partners for Zach Ertz. He still was with us at the start of the season, but then he got traded early into the regular season. So the point of that is that it's still possible Jaylen Rager could get traded sometime earlier, middle of the season, before the trade deadline. So there is that possibility right there. But as far as him being on the roster goes, I don't think he's going to pan out here. I just don't think, it's the best place for him. I don't think obviously the fans don't want him here. It's just not, it's not going to go out well. It's just one of those situations. That's just the way I see it personally. So it's just, yeah. So, but as far as like some of the other roster cuts on this team, a lot of those other guys I listed off from their website are good. As you see the links to it on the screen, if you want to check it out yourself. Obviously, not a lot of those guys weren't going to make the team. I personally don't have anything to say about that. But yeah, this overall roster, man, it's looking good on paper. I mean, a lot of hype behind it. A lot of people in the media are giving it hype. Like I said, they think this team could definitely do something. As far as the secondary, like we look at our overall roster, I mean, the wide receiver room, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Zach Pascal, Quez Watkins, and Jaylen Rager too, but those first four I listed off, hey, as long as they stay healthy, they can produce. And of course, don't forget Dallas Goedert at tight end. Those main weapons right there. Brown, Smith, Goddard, Pascal, and Watkins are our main guys right there. So there's no excuse for Jalen Hurts now. Now, there have been, conflicting reports about Jalen Hurts throughout training camp. Some saying that he's picking up on his accuracy, he's picking up on his reads better, he's gotten better throughout camp. And then there were some saying, I'll be looking at his bad days and saying, I'm not sold on him. So there's a lot of conflicting reports on Jalen Hurts, whether or not he's the guy. But come regular season time, we're going to find out. There's going to be no more excuses. We're going to find out whether or not Jalen Hurts is really the guy. It's that simple. He's got the weapons there for him. Now, some people are thinking he can have a 4,000-plus yard passing season. I do think myself he has the potential to have at least 4,000 total yards for the season, but I'm not sure if he's going to have over 4,000 passing yards. Even with the wide receiver room looking good, I think because he is the scrambling QB, you're also going to get some running from him too. You're not just going to get passing the ball. So I do feel like there's the potential for him to at least have a total of 4,000 yards passing and running. But I'm not sure he's going to get at least 4,000 passing yards, even if he does do everything right, because he's also going to do a lot of running plays. So I do think at least 4,000 all-purpose yards, certainly room for that. 4,000 passing yards, I'm not too sure about that. But as far as the running back room goes, we got similar back room there. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. If God forbid somebody gets injured, maybe we get Jordan Howard off the street, bring him back in. As far as that goes, maybe even, God forbid, injuries, Jason Huntley gets called back up. Maybe. But obviously I know why the Eagles want to bring these three back in, because last year, especially during the second half of the season, when we were doing really, when we picked out better, we were running the ball more. Our run game was one of the biggest parts of our success in the second half of the season, which helped us sneak in as a wild card. During that stretch, it was Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell were some of the main contributors to that. Right. We also had Jordan Howard there too, but we don't have him there this year. So, but Boston Scott, Miles Sanders were contributing factors to that. So I get why the Eagles are bringing those three, keeping those three around, hoping to repeat last year's success. But the question is, will it actually work? On paper, it can work out really well. We had a good run game last year. And of course, let's not forget, Jalen Hurts also can count as part of that run game as well. So there's definitely a lot of room for the run game to be just as good as last year, if not better, especially if we commit more to it. Now, I do feel this year we can have more success balancing out between the run and the pass, but we still got to include the run. Even with, the wide receivers we have there, I don't want us to get too pass happy. Because, yes, even though we have a better wide receiver room, I still think we got to mix up between the run and the pass. We still got to do that. Even with the wide receiver room being a lot better this year, got to do that. For this team, yes, I look at the overall roster, just a lot of good on the offensive side, especially with the line. Some of the main pieces that helped us last year are back. And you got Cam Jurgens. He's looking like if he has to step up and play, he can help us out too. So I'm liking what I see there. Obviously wide receiver room, I've given that enough praise by now. Running backs looks like a nice room on paper, but we'll have to see how that pans out. The D-line, like what we get with the D-line right there, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham's coming back, but will he be the same player or not? Time will tell. Time will tell on that. You could incorporate Hassan Reddick on the D-line, switch him between D-line and linebacker. Of course, also, like I said, Jordan Davis, you get Javon Hargrave. He comes in. He'll be a contributing factor. Obviously, you got some of those guys right there. Who else? Who am I missing right now? I definitely know I'm missing some names. Definitely. Of course, Fletcher Cox, of course. So we definitely got some. Josh Sweat, let's not forget him. Those are some guys right there that are going to help us out on the D-line, linebacker room. Kazir White, Hassan Reddick. Yeah, we got Nakobe Dean. He might get thrust in there as well. And TJ Edwards, not the greatest linebacker, but he can help us out. So we got some nice room there. Then the secondary, definitely better than last year. Especially when we can bring him back, Darius Slade Jr., who was the best part of our secondary. He was shutting guys down all year last year. And he's been consistently one of the best DBs over the past 5 years. So we got him back. Got James Bradbury's being brought in. Have to see what he definitely helps out our secondary room. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson we just acquired yesterday. He's one of the best safeties in the league, best young safeties in the league. That's the thing. He's only 24. He's got plenty of life left, as long as he's barring injuries or character concerns. Now, we know he's a trash talker, though, but that's not really a character concern to me. I mean, trash talking's always been a thing in sports, so I'm not concerned with that right there. But I like what I see from the roster as a whole. Now, we'll have to see how it pans out right there. So now my closing thoughts are, look, we got a nice 53-man roster right here. All looks good. Oh, yeah, let's not forget, Jake Elliott deserves a shout-out. I mean, he went into last year, a few question marks, but he redeemed himself last year, so I'm more confident about Jake Elliott coming back as our kicker this year. So we got Jake Elliott back as our kicker. That helps out right there. Okay, I like some of what we're seeing right there as a whole. I mean, I do. As long as everyone can stay healthy and plays up to their abilities, it should be good right here. As far as Jalen Hurts goes, that's the main subject right here. The pressure's on him right there. But we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see if ultimately gets it done. And we know we still got another week before the season over. We still got Labor Day weekend coming up. So that gives us one more weekend. One weekend without Eagles football before we officially start. Yeah, I'm liking what we see. If everything plays out well, this could be an 11-12 win season. And I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping we do live up to the hype. That the Eagles get back in contention. So, I'm leaving that right there. There's a lot of potential going into it. Howie Roseman, I'm giving you props for a good offseason. I'm hoping I can come back a year from now and say that you definitely made that 2022 offseason help assert this team back in contention or possibly help this team win another Super Bowl. I'm hoping I can say that a few years down the line. Everything looks good on paper. Don't screw it up, Eagles, all right? It looks good right here. Now, the secondary, the safety room's not the greatest in the world. But you know what? The secondary as a whole looks better. The defense as a whole looks better. I still have my doubts about Jonathan Gannon. I'm hoping he doesn't mess it up. I'm hoping he doesn't. And if he does, he can go. Okay? Nick Sirianni, you have all the talent there. Don't mess it up. Okay, it's all looking good on paper. Now, go out there, get it done. Do live up to the hype. Chris, another great season. And that's all I'm going to say about this right there. Everyone tuned into the live stream, thank you for tuning in. Whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching after it was recorded, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're watching this after it was recorded, subscribe if you're new and you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell so you're notified when I upload a video. Most of all, everyone watching, have a wonderful Wednesday. Fly, Eagles, fly. If you're doing fantasy football, good luck in your fantasy leagues this year. Nicky Stees, signing off. Fly, Eagles, fly.